As promised on my IG, if you missed it, I have a double complexion review. I'm going to be wear testing the new Hourglass Veil Hydrating Skin Tint and the new Makeup Forever HD Skin Smooth and Blur Concealer. Now, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you missed this vital information. I got this sent to me on Friday, but I was literally leaving Friday afternoon to go to Savannah, Georgia, have a little mini weekend vacation with my parents. And so I couldn't film this when I got these items, but I vowed to test these while I was on vacation in the hot summer heat and then come back this Tuesday and give you guys a review with experience. So this is a little more than first impressions. Just for reference, I do have normal to dry skin, leaning more normal right now, I would say, in the hot, humid weather, and I'm very sweaty. That is key for this review. Even though I have more dry skin, I perspirate a lot on my upper lip, around my hairline, and so that came into play when reviewing these this weekend. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started. It is pretty early in the morning. I am not dressed or anything because we're getting ready together. So let's first talk about the Hourglass Veil Hydrating Skin Tint Foundation. I've heard a lot of requests for this. A lot of people were interested in this, so I definitely wanted to get this up for you guys. So this comes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think 18 different shades. The shade I'm going to use is 17. The shade range, not great. Not really, no, but I will say this is a very sheer coverage, so you can get away with being in between a few shades and having them work for you or throw them on the ground. This is Hourglass. This is very expensive. This is 49 buckaroos, made in Italy, 12-month shelf life, 1.1 fluid ounces. So here's how they describe it. A lightweight skin tint that boosts moisture levels up by 52% for a dewy glow and provides a sheer veil of coverage for comfortable all-day wear. So coverage light, finish radiant, formulation liquid. It has some ingredient callouts that you can look it up. I'm not an ingredient buff, so I don't want to talk about what I have no clue about. Okay, let's look at the packaging. So this is what it looks like. It's just a simple squeezy tube with a gold cap, and then the back is also nothing really special here. I'm going to turn the lights down just a little bit more so you can see what I am working with. In yesterday's video, I talked about maybe the vitamin C serum giving me a little bit of a rash. I think you guys are right. So I must be a little bit sensitive to vitamin C serum since it's the first time I'm incorporating it into my skincare routine. So if you have any suggestions or recommendations for an inexperienced vitamin C user, let me know. So open this, get the product out. It's just like a squeezy tube. You have a lot of control. I'm going to show you the consistency here. I'm trying, hold on. So it's not too runny of a liquid. Then Hourglass also sent over, since this was a PR package, this brush to apply it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I honestly recommend to apply this with a brush as opposed to a sponge so you can maximize coverage. The consistency of this blends out really easily. So I just literally dipped my brush in. I didn't even use my finger. I find that you don't need to use a finger to blend it out because it is so sheer, you don't really see any streaks of any kind. Let me do this, half of my face. So what I just squeezed out did about half of my face, and then I want you to see that side-by-side comparison, but I will say this blends out like butter onto the skin, especially with this brush. Very minimal effort is necessary. So up close, I don't know if you can see, coverage, super duper light. So I have a little bit of redness right here. It did do a decent job of just covering that redness, but if you have any deep pigmentation that's different than your natural skin tone, it's going to show right through. But you know, a light change in color is going to be evened out. Not necessarily covered, but evened out. So I do think the color of my complexion is evened, but it does look exactly like skin. My freckles are showing through, everything. Very light coverage. Even I would say like on the light side of light coverage. Now, what I think is special about the finish of this is how hydrated it looks. One of the key points that they say, boosts moisture levels by up to 52% for a dewy glow. And I feel like I put on a moisturizer. It has that moisturized look, which I think is going to be fantastic for dry skin. So you know how in the winter your skin can just hurt, get a little dry where it looks dry, you smile, it looks tight. I know skin tints are like a summer thing, but I think this could be the cure for that winter dry skin, if you get it, by the way. So don't go into this expecting any sort of coverage. You're really not getting any, but it really does hydrate the skin and it has a pretty glow. You can see that looks quite skin-like. I must admit, I really like it. I'm gonna squirty squirt a little bit more. Yeah, I did use that vitamin C serum and I'm seeing the rash coming through. It is 100% that. Today was my final test. Okay, so I have a little bit more. It kind of almost feels cooling when I first apply it. I love the way that it feels, and applying it is just so quick and easy, but definitely recommend a brush. Hourglass has great brushes. I also think BK Beauty has really great brushes to apply this skin tint. Now, I wouldn't recommend layering this foundation too much because then it could get heavy because it's so deeply moisturizing. It could feel heavy, it will start to wear heavy, it will start to look heavy, it will start to look a little oily. So I wouldn't go in with a second layer for more coverage. My suggestion is if you want a little bit more coverage, you have a little bit more redness or discoloration, go in with a concealer, either over top or even under before you apply the skin tint. But this, I would say, texturally, it just makes my skin look more dewy and hydrated. So the finish of this is almost more important than the coverage. So if you're going for coverage, covering discolorations and stuff like that, this is not your girl, but it does a good job of giving you nice glowy skin. I enjoy it. I think it looks really nice. We'll talk about the wear time after I get the rest of the makeup on. Okay, so let's move on to the new Makeup Forever concealer. So this one I think has 20 shades. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. Got it right. I'm not gonna lie though, the shade range, at least on the Sephora website, the swatches looks abysmal. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. And you know, for concealer, you can get away with lighter color. You normally actually want to do that. But this is the Makeup Forever HD Skin Smooth and Blur Undetectable Under Eye Concealer for $29. And I do believe it is supposed to be replacing the Makeup Forever Ultra HD concealer because this is no longer on the website. They've been slowly reformulating and upgrading the line, and this was a big deal when it first launched. The catch to this one is it was self-setting. Anyways, I've always liked this concealer, never loved it. So I think this one's supposed to replace it, which is interesting because these are not alike at all. No, I'll talk about that. But this is a feather light buildable concealer that visibly smooths and brightens and corrects under eyes with an undetectable real skin finish and up to 24 hours of wear. Coverage medium. We'll talk about that. Finish natural, formulation liquid. I'm just looking to see if this advertised self-setting. I don't see that. But something that I'm also seeing is that it is a skincare infused product. So let's see. So this is made in Korea and 6 months shelf life. That's very, very short for concealer. So do keep that in mind. Wear it a lot if you buy it. 0.15 fluid ounces. So they sent me a couple of shades. I have 1.5R here, and then 2.0R. 2.0R is the shade that I've been into, if you can see a little bit of a difference. So that's what I'm using. The applicator is a doe foot, very small. Okay, so let me show you this in action. I'm gonna put it right here, right here. We're gonna start off with that. And I'm going to use my Rare Beauty concealer brush. I also recommend to use a brush for this because I'm telling you guys, this does not give much coverage, which is okay. But it says that this gives medium coverage, and to be honest, I just don't agree with that. This is a light coverage concealer, which is not a bad thing, I'd like to add. But I don't think it's medium coverage. We're going to build it up because it does say it's a buildable formula, but it did just enough to kind of blur and even out the blue. So it did even it, but it looks so much like skin because it is a light coverage. Can you see the difference? It did a good job actually. Just because it has a glowy finish, it bounces off the blue, which is really nice. So it did brighten the eyes very, very naturally, but I do feel as though I need another coat right here, or maybe even a color corrector. So what is interesting about this, and I will build it up, but these two are a match made in heaven. If you're interested in both of these products, they wear together so well because the Hourglass is such a light coverage that sometimes you just don't want a makeup-y look. So it's great to get a light coverage concealer like this. And sometimes if you have such a light coverage base and you put on a full coverage concealer, you can literally see the difference from the full coverage to looking like you're wearing almost nothing. So these two are very complementary to one another. So if you need a lighter coverage concealer for those days, I do recommend this. I think it's really great. We're gonna build it up one more time. I think the finish of this is quite pretty. And then if you do want a little bit of extra coverage, like right here, if I'm a little bit more red, it's very easy just to blend this down. I'm gonna try and not do that just for review's sake. So I did add that second coat, and I do think it did help with the coverage, but can you see the finish is definitely more glowy and hydrating? They call it the smooth and blur. I just don't agree with that. I don't think it smooths. I don't think it blurs. I think with the glowy finish, it really just makes the skin look like skin. It doesn't necessarily emphasize texture, but it definitely doesn't smooth it. Just adds a little extra layer of color, a little extra layer of hydration. So this is with it done, 2 coats, and on this side. So you can see it is very natural, but the perfect complement to that Hourglass skin tint. When I was wearing these two this weekend, I loved the way my makeup looked. My skin just looked so fresh and so healthy. But if you're looking for full coverage, I don't recommend this Makeup Forever concealer. And this is why I am so shocked that this has replaced this in the line, because this one definitely had a medium coverage. This one is so much more hydrating. You can tell that it's skincare infused, whereas this guy right here really was made to cover and correct. This one works a little bit more closely with the skin, and both are good in their own ways, just for different purposes, different looks. But I will say this one has a more trendy formula to, you know, what is more popular right now. And I'm just using my sponge to smooth everything out. But very interesting. I definitely was not expecting that from this concealer. For some reason, I was expecting more coverage. I didn't expect Makeup Forever to go for such a natural product, but I think it looks really beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my makeup. I'm going to show you what products I'm using over top, and yeah, play some nice music and watch and learn.
Inside lane, missing exits, glued to the pavement. Between the lines, I'll keep my gaze straight ahead as the last stop flies by. No more waiting for the gun to fire. No more walking through revolving doors. I've gone around once, and I don't need to go around anymore.
Hey, makeup is all done. Side note, I tested a new product from Viseart. I think I'm going to do a video on these. I don't know if it's too late. But the Rephr Brushes palette with the blush. So that's what I have on my eyes and then my cheeks. So I have that on top of everything that I'm wearing down below. But let's talk about this wear test, my experiences this weekend, and then we're going to do the wear test together as well. So overall, I was in Savannah, Georgia, and I was on like vacation, and we were doing touristy stuff, which involved a lot of walking out in the sun for hours, and a lot of sweat. So I truly was not expecting the makeup to wear during those adventures, and it didn't. But listen, this is so sheer that it wore very gracefully, and for me, that was very, very important. I was putting this through the ringer. I was sweating, I was blotting, I was doing the whole thing. This is a skin tint. I did not expect it to last, and it didn't. However, it did not look like ish. You know, it didn't look terrible. It just gracefully wore away, which is what I want in a product like this. Sometimes with these products on days like that, your makeup looks super patchy and cakey and unwell. My makeup didn't look like that. It just like slowly faded away, and I was okay with that. Same thing with the concealer. Today is the first day that I'm doing like a kind of full coverage look to see how it does. Normally, this weekend, how I wore it was with very light makeup, setting with powder, but I do use like cream blush, very minimal. So this is the full set makeup, the whole shebang that I'm really testing today. So this looks good on low activity days, days that you're not out in the blasting sun. But if you are in the blazing sun for hours sweating, I do not recommend this for vacation. Normally I don't even wear face makeup, but I wanted to test this out. It didn't survive through those circumstances, but I didn't expect it to, but it does look really nice and fresh for outings that you're not out in the sun for hours. As far as the concealer, I actually wore this a little bit more because I prefer a concealer towards the center of my face when I'm doing things like that, and then keeping the face makeup to none at all, just having a little bit of concealer in the areas that I need it. This wore pretty nice. It's not the most like crease proof concealer, but because it's such a light coverage, again, it wears gracefully. It never looks bad. These products are so light that you're going to be able to wear these all day, and even if they do begin to fade, even if you do begin to sweat them off, they're going to look nice. But today, the test is, how is this going to look with pretty much a full face in a less strenuous environment? We're going to test it out to see how it truly wears on a more normal day, if you're wearing this to work, wearing this to run errands, things like that. So this is how we're looking, I would say. After I set everything with powder, it lost a lot of the glow, which is okay. I did go back in with a little bit of a setting spray, but the powder did tamper it down. If you're looking for that glowy finish that you saw before, don't use powder bronzer, powder blush, and setting powder like I did. I got a really glowy look when I used a cream blush, and then I just set my face with a little bit of translucent powder. I still had that glow, but we're starting off like this today. You can see all of my freckles and everything through. So it's about 10 o'clock. I will begin to update you. Okay, I wanted to do a 4-hour check-in. I look a mess today. Today is not really a work day for me. It's a get my life together day since I just got back from vacation. We're doing like laundry and the whole thing and groceries. But I wanted to update you on how we're looking. At this point, I'm definitely starting to see my natural oils come through, so the glow is coming back. Everything looks very natural, very skin-like is the way I would describe it. Nothing is looking heavy yet. Pretty much just looks like how I applied it, so good so far. I mean, the first time I tested this, like I said, it was a sweaty day. I was leaking from my face, like really bad. So this is actually a normal day of how my skin would behave, and I'm enjoying it. It's wearing well. I was gonna try and make myself look better and pretend that I looked cute today, but I've been cleaning, okay? I don't know, our apartment was getting a little grody, so I had to wipe some stuff down, reorganize some things. So it's been a productive day. I just feel like this month has been so crazy. Things have gotten everywhere, and I just need to get things back into order so I can feel zen. But let's take a look at the final wear test. It has been 8 hours since I put this on, and I think it looks great. As I said from the beginning, these products, they wear so gracefully. So let's take a look at the under eyes, the concealer. You can see a little bit of creasing, but honestly nothing obnoxious. Let me teach you a trick. Oh, I need to clean my beauty room too, but I'm waiting to clean it until we're done this summer with traveling, because I am in survival mode right now. I'm just trying to be able to make the content, and a tornado's gone through this room, but we're waiting. Anyways, here's the trick. Just take a brush, blending brush, softly brush out the under eyes, and it's gonna look so much more fresh. You just have to use a light hand. But no, this concealer is very nice with the wear time. I do think it looks a little dry given how lightweight it is. A lot of times with concealers like this, I just feel like they shouldn't look bad at the end of the day. It doesn't look bad, it looks fine, but it is a bit dry, but nothing crazy. And I think the skin looks spectacular, honestly. There's a little bit, you know, in the smile lines here, but hardly anything. It's worn down a little bit. It's not as glowy. It doesn't have as much coverage. You know, I don't look as great as when I started. However, it's worn down gracefully for 8 hours and it's very light coverage. So here's my final thoughts. I've tested these products for 3 different days now. In terms of the Hourglass skin tint, I really like this, but it is exactly what it is, a skin tint. Do not expect to get anything more than a light side of light coverage with this. If anything, it just makes the skin look very hydrated. It gives a nice dewy glow. It's not really great for a super hot summer day, but it's great to throw on to look nice for errands, and I think it's a really great consistency and hydrant for more mature skin. So mature skin, you might really like this if you're into a lighter coverage. If you're looking for coverage, run far away. And same deal with this concealer. This is a very well done concealer. However, in my opinion, the affordable dupe to this is the Physicians Formula Butter Glow concealer. They work exactly the same. I'll have to do a side-by-side wear test to see which one is better, but I really like concealers like that. I feel like there's not a lot of lighter coverage concealers out there on the market that you can wear with skin tints and tinted moisturizers. So these two, oddly enough, pair fantastic together. I am a little bit more into the skin tint than I am the concealer, but I think they're both nice. Are they something you absolutely need to run out and have? I'll be honest, I'm a coverage girl. If I'm putting a layer of something on my face, I do want it to have a little bit more coverage. So this isn't something that I'm jumping for joy at, but it did exactly as the claims were, so I can't complain about that. The only thing that I feel like the claims were wrong about with the concealer is that they said it was medium coverage. I just don't agree with that. But everything else, with the skin tint and with the concealer, I think they've done what they said they're going to do, and they did a good job at that. So if this is what you're looking for, these are the type of products you're looking for, you'll enjoy these. If not, they're very expensive. You probably won't enjoy them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful and enjoyed my wear test. I will catch you guys in the next one. I think the next review that I have, I just got the Charlotte Tilbury Beach Sticks in the mail, so I'm excited to go in on those. Okay, bye. Have a good one.